of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Happy Monday, guys. We are here talking about the all-new Michael B. Jordan movie, Creed 3, in theaters right now. And we are the Cine-Men movie podcast, here to talk about that little movie. I'm one of your hosts, Zach. I'm here with my good friends, Ed.
Hey, how's it going, folks?
Craig.
Yo.
That should just start. We should just start that. Instead of the opening, you just do your yo. Yeah, guys, we're here to talk about a movie that new release, second 2023 film of the year. It'll be an interesting conversation. We're gonna get into it here in a little bit, but how was your weekend, guys? Ed, start with you.
It was all right. I had a lot to do, but you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's always a great way of describing things. What about you, Craig? Did the birthdays finally calm down?
Yes. Adley is currently dealing with earache, pink eye, stomach bug.
A little bit of everything.
Anything you can think of, she's currently dealing with it. So I actually worked from home today.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Went and saw the movie Friday or Saturday with my dad. Went and saw Demon Slayer on Friday.
I was going to ask about that.
I am highly upset once we get to that portion. So
you know what? Let's just go ahead and get into it. Recent watches, Craig. You obviously Creed 3, Demon Slayer 2, same day or another day?
It was going to be the same day, but it was like the movie ended at like 9 o'clock. Creed started at 9:45. 10 o'clock with previews. I was like, I would get home at like 12:30. I don't want to. So Demon Slayer, which I thought was an entire movie, kind of between seasons. Last 2 episodes of last season, 1 episode of new season.
And they just combined it into one like 2-hour thing.
An hour and 20 minutes of the movie was shit that's already on Hulu. You saw 20 minutes of a new episode.
That's funny.
And that was it. I'm sitting here like, yo, dog, we've already seen this shit, right? Like, I'm not crazy. And my friend was like, these are the last 2 episodes of Demon Slayer. So kind of upset about that. It was still enjoyable to go see it on the big screen.
Just feels cheap.
Yeah, I wasn't upset as I would have been because obviously I'm on the AMC A list. Creed pretty much paid for my month, essentially, and Demon Slayer, Scream 6, everything else after this just kind of icing on the cake for the month. But yeah, so I wasn't that upset. I didn't get a popcorn or a drink or anything, but people I went with, they bought tickets, they bought popcorn, they bought drinks. You know, I'd be fairly upset if that was my experience because it was very it looked like it was just going to be a movie kind of building to the next season, and it wasn't.
Right.
So
are these like 30-minute episodes for the direct Demon Slayer?
Like 25, 30-minute episodes, yeah.
Okay.
Anime.
I can imagine like Craig's reaction, just like, wait a minute, I've already seen this. Like, what are we doing?
Well, it was okay for me because it's been a while since I've seen those last 2 episodes. So it was like I had known some parts I didn't know, but it was also like cool to see it on the big screen. So it wasn't that bad for me. But some people went back and rewatched like the last 2 or 3 episodes to get a recap. And then you're recapping it again at the movie. Like, it would be like Everything Everywhere All at Once with me. Like, because remember I watched it like 4 times that weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Are those your two main things? Did you catch start of Mandalorian season 3 yet?
I did. I watched that. I'm currently 2 episodes behind on Last of Us, which is good because now I can just binge it.
And, how was the new season? I heard it's like a kind of like a soft reboot or reset or kind of something like that
of
Mandalorian.
I don't know. It builds. It feels like it's building towards a crossover with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes.
Okay. My week was pretty. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of a dull weekend. I'm not gonna lie. Creed 3, obviously. I picked up my 15 movies that I'm gonna rewatch before our top 5 plus 5 of 2022. Rewatch the Batman. I started. I have like 40 minutes left to Prey, the Predator movie from Hulu. Yeah, got a lot to watch. Other than that, that's really about it for me. I'm caught up on Last of Us. I haven't watched last night's episode, but I think next Sunday is the season finale. So we'll have to probably, Greg, you have to get caught up, and we'll talk about it on the show when you do.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
And Ed, what about you?
So I was kind of mad at myself actually last week because
Season 15 of South Park.
No, we have been still watching that, and I think we're almost season 11 now. No, I've been watching a few shows, and do you ever get that feeling that something's going on and you just haven't checked in on something for a while, and you're thinking of it, and either it's about to release or it's already released and you missed it?
Yeah.
Are you about to say what I think you're about to say? Wu-Tang?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 3,
yeah.
Wu-Tang
I saw that
American
on
Saga.
I saw that on.
What were you thinking of?
Dragon Ball Z Budokai 4.
Oh no, that was next though. That was next.
I'm so hyped for that shit.
Dude, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was my I still love that game. But yeah, I was mad because literally I've been waiting on the Wu-Tang American Saga season 3, and I was like, man, it's been a while. Like, I wonder if it's out. February 15th already dropped, and this is like I think February 28th and all that. So that's when I remembered about it. 13 days later, and yeah, so I started the first 3 episodes of that, and it still goes on. It still goes with. They keep it fresh, but enough kind of like still in that mode, still kind of going with the rawness of it, as well as the music production, the music value of it, the hardships that the entire Wu-Tang Clan had to get to, the highs, the lows, and all that good stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy because, you've got at least, 10, 15 members, not just of Wu-Tang, but of their company and family, for that matter, that they've got to follow. So you've got several different people who you can go with. And they follow Old Dirty Bastard, they follow RZA, Jizza, the main cast. Method Man comes in for a bit. Divine, he goes and all that good stuff. They follow the sister and all that. They haven't introduced the mom, I don't think, other than telephone calls. But other than that, yeah. So there's a lot to it, but they do it very well. Like I said, like you mentioned, South Park, still going on that. Should be on a season 11 if I'm not mistaken. Still going on the PS5 here and there. I'm not sure how I find time for all this. Like, I listen to what we say, and I'm just like, where does he, and then I see you on 2K23, I think, all the time.
Chill. It's not all the time.
No, I'm just playing. It's like times that I'm on, I see you on. I'm like, oh, cool.
I've actually, you're catching me at a good time, because I literally played Hogwarts today for like 30 minutes during my lunch.
Yeah.
And last time I logged in was February 21st. So it's been about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Dang, but okay. I watched the Thunder on Friday. They beat the dog shit out of Utah. So I was like, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna play NBA bust some people up with Shay, and that's what it was.
But yeah, other than that, Creed 3 yesterday, so
part of me, because you hadn't responded as quick as Craig did about coming on the show, I really thought you were watching it like earlier today and just got out or something.
No, there was a lot of stuff that I had to do at work, and We were just
Yeah,
busy.
make little meme pictures and send them in the chat.
That's not me.
That's Johnny.
That's not me making
That's
it.
Johnny,
no,
man.
no, it's a whole different person. It's a guy we know.
And y'all just share them between.
Johnny does,
man.
yeah.
Get your own. Get your own little on cue
thread going.
I swear, because literally that picture that he's got of me that he did, that's like about 4 years old when I was a clerk, for that matter. Because I mean, this
Clerks?
is
Clerks.
I know,
Clerks.
right? Oh shit, and Clerks 3. Come on now, got to do that sometime. That'd be cool. But either way,
great recent watches, guys. Ed, if a dear listener wanted to reach out or let us know about something we should watch, or just want to give their comments on something, how they might do that.
All right. So the thing is you need to get out of that rock.
It's a national secret. It's a national secret, guys.
It's a national secret, like the room behind Mount Rushmore.
That's not a secret.
I know, right?
And technically, it's not complete.
Yeah. All right. So enough with the jokes. So you can always find us at facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. That is CINEMEN Movie Podcast. Instagram, that is /Cine-Men Movie Podcast, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast as well. Twitter, Cine-Men405. And the email at Cine-Men, CINEMEN 921 at gmail.com. Go ahead and email any suggestions, email any, anything you checked out. We'd love to hear stuff like that. Send it our way.
Bring it in.
If
Literally
you want to call
anything.
one of us out, it is what it is. If you want to tell us about your favorite video game, your favorite CD or record or whatever, send it in. We'd love to hear it.
I mean, we are people of culture.
Yeah. We are people of entertainment.
We literally will talk about anything and everything.
And we will consume anything.
Pretty much.
Is that a fat joke?
No,
I'm just kidding.
No,
we're all.
I'm kidding.
Y'all saw me. I'm eating over here. I'll be checking mix. No, honestly, yeah. I mean, Johnny's been gone for a little bit, so our emails have been kind of dry. But
he's handling his own stuff, so we'll get it back.
He'll be back next week, I think.
Yep.
But
yeah,
send them in. I mean, if you want to talk, send us an email, personal email. How are you doing? You want to talk to one of us one-on-one. You want to tell us about a movie, a TV show, like Ed said, a record, a video game. We are down to listen to anything and everything.
You want to tell us to jump off a bridge because you don't like the way we reviewed the movie. No, that was towards him.
That was me. Yeah, that was me. That was me.
That guy.
Bridge that.
But either way, we love to hear it, so keep it coming. However, take it away, sir.
Right, you're pointing the wrong way, dog.
Yeah,
it's that way. You that way. Which way?
All right, guys.
You're here.
You're in the multiverse. You're in the multiverse. I don't know how we get a connection to you, but you're in the multiverse.
Man, look.
But listen, let's get into it, guys. Creed 3 had a release date on March the 3rd of 2023, starring Michael B. Jordan, Tessa Thompson, Jonathan Majors, Fasila Rashad, and directed by one Mr. Michael B. Jordan. Currently, this film has a 7.4 on IMDb, 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, 74% on Metacritic, and 95% of the Google users like this movie. I think all of us can agree we really like the Creed films. I think the first one, I know I've said it's a masterpiece on every level imaginable. I did rewatch Creed 2 to get ready for Creed 3, and I will stand by my review and say that's still a 9, even though you could really make an argument that it's a Rocky IV remake in some aspects, in certain ways.
Yeah.
But going into Creed 3, like I said, Khaleesi's just excited about reviewing Creed 3, I guess. But going into Creed 3, I was really nervous about, Stallone wasn't in it. We're going to lose the Rocky factor, but I was very excited about what Michael B. Jordan could do as a director and lead this franchise going forward. And I got to say, man, I was very, very surprised. I still had all the same feelings from Creed 1 and Creed 2, and I thought it was a damn good movie. So, Craig, I think you were the first to see it out of all of us. What was your out of the theater reaction?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, I went with my dad. You guys probably know the song that I'm referring to at the very beginning.
Yep.
I was just sitting there so uncomfortable because I was like, my dad is going to absolutely hate this film if, you know, because my dad's all about like, he doesn't like that kind of music. It's not, he feels like it's not very upbringing. But after the movie, I was like, so what'd you think? He was like, man, I loved it. I love Michael B. Jordan. I love, he's on the Jonathan Majors hype train now. I told him before the movie, I was like, you know, he was in Devotion. He was in this. He was like, I watched Devotion. I love that guy. And so, yeah, he's all aboard, kind of like we all are. And yeah, I just, it was thoroughly enjoyable from start to finish.
So I kind of like, that's one of my favorite things about this film was the actual score, the music soundtrack, whatever you want to call it. The Watcher, 2001, The Chronic, Dr. Dre. I thought that was an awesome, you know, especially being set up in LA, you know, like that's the thing.
Who's the guy from Crenshaw that passed away not too long ago?
You talking about Nipsey Hussle?
Nipsey,
no?
yeah.
Okay, I was
Nipsey
like,
was in it, yeah. The song,
what? I'm not very familiar with his work, to be honest.
The big one that came out after he had passed away, like everybody was listening to it. I can't remember the name of the song, but it was in there. I enjoyed these spots that the music were chosen. I felt like they were very precise in what they were trying to deliver. With the
I almost
music.
feel like it was like a Jordan Peele like with that, because like it's kind of a fresh take on like the gangster funk or gangster rap or something like that, you know, because I mean even with Luna's we got 5 on it, you know, with us for that matter, the kind of, if I'm not mistaken, the violins coming in with that was chef's kiss right there. Made it a little creepy, a little bit of made the ambiance of that movie just and then this sets it up, you know, for a 90s 2000s kind of deal, you know, back when they were kids and all that kind of stuff. This made it like a feeling of that, and it was, you know, dirty down and gritty and all that for really, the first couple
really grungy kind of in a way,
you know. And I mean it introduces him before the Creed life, you know, for that matter.
And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. We're about 20 minutes into the show, so spoilers ahead for coming up for Creed 3. If you haven't seen it, stop the show, go watch it, then come back and join us. Spoil it, so now you have been warned. I really like the flashbacks, to be honest. I thought they were perfectly placed.
They were well placed,
especially to start off with teenage Adonis. Yeah, and starting off with teenage Adonis and kind of setting up the story of how does he relate to Damien? How does Damien fit into the picture of all this?
Like who is this?
I thought, it was really well crafted to the point of like by the time you get to the actual answer, you're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I'm a little indifferent on that. I feel like they carried on the flashbacks a little too long. I wish they would have done. I think there was like 5 times they did flashbacks. I would have been okay if they did 2 or 3 and kind of gave you the answer in those 2 or 3 flashbacks. It just felt like it kind of put the movie on pause for a little bit by doing that.
I mean, even like when he was telling her, it could have showed that whole rest of it. And then the third flashback could have been like him, like what it did have in the final fight, like him running and, you know.
I just felt like it took the answer of what or who Leon was took a little too long for my liking. It doesn't hinder the film like as a whole, but it's just I was like I'd like to know this a little bit sooner.
I get this out of the way.
And to me, I felt like the mystery of Leon. I'm not gonna say it wasn't crafted good. It just wasn't like I had to go and actually just kind of research like what exactly they were talking about, because it is like when Marianne shows Adonis the picture of him with the one that beat up Drago at the party. I was like, okay, how is this related? So it just there some plot contrivances, but it, like you said, Craig, it didn't ruin the movie by no stretch of the imagination.
It felt like, Michael B. Jordan has everything laid out in his mind, and I just feel like at some points in the movie, you weren't catching the dots as they were being laid out.
Because see, like I caught that Damian Anderson probably knew the guy who broke Drago's hands, and gave him a concussion, I think. I knew that because literally the way he was just like washing the room, and then like the little cuts and all that, it was just like, okay, like but
he drops a bomb to Bianca at the party. It's just like, oh, he hasn't told you about Leon, and that to me is just like that. I think that's like, it's not a mistake, but like you really want to set that up to be something that's very traumatic. Which I mean, at the end of the day, it was for these two characters, but it was just like you said, Craig. They just waited a long time until after the funeral of Adonis's mother or Marianne. You're just like, does this really matter in a certain way? Because by that point, you just want them to fight, because Jonathan Majors is just so out of control and just showing off by that point.
Now, the only thing I will go ahead and downgrade this movie on is just one simple thing. I get it though, but at the same time, it's kind of like, really, the fight versus Felix, and then the fight versus Creed with Anderson, like he goes in, messes Felix's left side all to hell, and I mean, I get that, like he was trying to get the championships and all that, and maybe even trying to lead to a him and Creed fight, and maybe kind of like put himself at the top, like ain't nobody, questioning me. I came up like Rocky, but maybe. But with that, I felt like it cheapened the character. Like, maybe if he had still done the same thing, but didn't need to go ahead and bust his arm or left side or whatever up, just straight up was power knockout, kind of Mike Tyson like.
No, I think the way Jonathan Majors' character was written perfectly depicts he spent 18 years in the pen for something that he probably felt like was Michael B. Jordan's character, Adonis Creed's fault. He's like, I wouldn't have pulled that gun if he wouldn't have hit Leon.
What he did.
Whereas Creed's also thinking, it's your fault for pulling the gun out. Like, you couldn't just let me get beat up. Where they both had this conflict.
Or even like helped me not get beat up by beating them up. Like, you're a Golden Glove fighter. Like, you can't take two dudes on. So like, I felt like it that's the only thing is kind of, I get the whole thing about, coming from a style of life that it is fight to live or don't and die. But it still just is like, he didn't use any of those tactics. He did. I think he used one or two times, but he didn't really use the tactics that he used against Felix against Creed.
Yeah. No, in their fight, I do agree with you, because they were talking about, he's going to know everything that you've heard. He's going to go and be just dirty about it.
Yep.
Whereas in the actual fight, I do still like how Michael B. Jordan put it on screen, where it kind of zones them out. Yeah, it zones them out, and it's one-on-one. Everything's really tuned out. I thought it was very well shot, very well done. But I do agree with you. They laid the foundation for Jonathan Majors to really mess up Michael B. Jordan, and it just doesn't happen.
Well, and I was going to ask you guys this because you guys are anime fans, and Michael B. Jordan is actually a huge anime fan. And in interviews and stuff, he said that he inspired a lot of the boxing sequences after anime's fighting sequences from like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z. So I'm not big on anime, but I could tell like the close-ups on the face, like, how they're about to go into battle or go into fight.
Yeah.
And then kind of like the swift movements of like knowing where to hit your enemy. I was like, I wonder if like Craig and Ed was able to catch on that.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but in the first scene, Naruto's little poster or
It's on the back of
is
the wall.
right there.
Yeah.
You know.
No, and I mean that's obviously he has influence from anime. You know, some people are going to be able to see it, some people aren't. People who do watch anime are able to kind of catch the nuances, which you highlighted. And I do think that scene where it's just him and Jonathan Majors in the ring, where it kind of gets gloomy and cloudy and it's all dark and nobody's there except them two. I think it was very well done, but I didn't like how it automatically jumps to the 11th round.
Right.
And they
like
knock each other out.
I want to see, you guys just pulp, pound each other to a pulp for a little bit. Have him use some of those dirty tactics, get you hurt, get you on the ring, and then you go to that shot where you're really, doing what you did. But it's like round 3 to round 11, and then the fight's over. Like you build up this guy and this tension between the two, and it ultimately, I feel like it doesn't pay off. It's shot beautifully, but it doesn't pay off.
Well, and here's a question, because to me, the movie does a very good job of villainizing Jonathan Majors, because by the time Adonis is on take 5 with Stephen A. Smith, and he calls him out on national television, it's like, all right, let's go. Like, you really want them to fight so bad, and just like you said, Craig, just beat each other to a pulp. But my question to you guys is, like, to me, I still had sympathy for Damien. Like, anytime he's by himself, like backstage, Adonis has his whole crew and everything, and Jonathan Majors is by himself.
Just with the
But
and during the Felix fight, he looks over and he sees Adonis, says, "Come on, Felix, you got this. Come on, champ." And it's just, I think it just like energizes him to fight even harder, and just to the point where it's just like it's a no holds bar. Kind of like Drago, like, I'll kill someone to make my point.
But at the same time, from the viewer standpoint, you get everybody's situation, and I think the movie shot so well that you are able to understand everybody's side of things.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan is a businessman. He's doing what's best for the business. Yes, he has sympathy, and he's understanding that Damien did what he did, and he has that guilt for him. So he is giving him that shot. But at the same time, Felix is still the champion, and the business is riding on what Felix is. And so it's I don't think it's necessarily that he's like, I don't want Damien to win. It's just, I understand what the business is about.
And I think the biggest part of when he kind of cut that line, for that matter, was when Damien did start the cheating. He did like hold the left arm and punch the shoulder, or the maybe even because it was right back here. When he did that punch, I think that's where Creed kind of started cutting that line, because it's like, okay, you've got the skills, you've got the drive and the fire, like that's unmistakable.
Yeah, you don't need to be fighting cheap and dirty.
Right.
But at the same time, he thinks that Damien is coming to him as a friend.
Yep.
Whereas Damien had this whole thing planned out and knew exactly what he was going to do.
Yes.
And that's a great part about the movie, is that us as a viewer, we still didn't understand or know what his motives were. We thought he was good because he met his family, he met his daughter, which I applaud. The
beautiful moments.
The family moments were beautifully shot. When he's sleeping on the couch and she comes and wakes him up and they do the tea party. He's in the dinosaur PJs.
Yeah.
Very well done with how he portrayed what his family was about at that time.
Yes. And to me, and something I will compliment the film, because I really thought that going into this was, Adonis was still the champion. I really, really liked the idea of he hasn't boxed in 3 or 4 years. And so by the time we get to the point where Damien challenges him, he's got to go back into training, do the training montage. And I really, really like that aspect of it.
I liked how they brought Drago into the training.
Yeah.
Because, you can tell they're still friends. They're
they're rivals. They're
They're
friendly
rivals, but
Yeah.
they
Respect each other.
they respect each other because they know what the grind has been for both of them.
And I mean,
but when they're in the ring and they're fighting, it's
that
good.
rivalry comes to a big head right there
Yeah.
because like each of them understand what's on the line, and it's not just titles. It's not just like potentially this guy could be very dangerous and very deadly for a lot of people. You know, and it's kind of like, okay, you understand this because your father did something similar to this, and my fighter. Like, you don't find out what happened really to Felix. Like, you just, he's in the hospital, and then it doesn't talk about him for a while.
It doesn't talk about him at all after it, I don't think.
No, but when the final fight happens, he's right there beside Adonis's family. Yeah. And that's the next time you hear about him or see him or anything. So it's kind of one of those things of like, did he kill this dude? Or I don't know, because there's a lot. But
if he dies, he dies.
In the pen, no, I'm just kidding. But there's just a lot of emotional aspects to this film, and I thought that was very well done because it's not just it's not just the family, it's not just boxing, it's not just him and his mom, it's not just his mom keeping the letters away, his friendship with this dude going through the it's all that wrapped up.
Go ahead, Zach.
No, I was just gonna say. I was just gonna say you're totally right, Ed. Because the logo or the not title, but just like the meme. That's not the right word, but just like the description. On the poster it says you can't outrun your past, and that's basically the thesis of the movie.
Yeah, and I felt like Creed 1 and 2 were very boxing oriented. I felt like this one was very deep in storytelling.
Yeah,
it was a story that was around boxing, not just
it's not a boxing movie. Yeah, it's not a boxing movie. This one felt like it was a movie with boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, in that way, he done brilliantly. I mean, the film is brilliant. Like that's hands down, or hands up, whatever. But it's more just how he brought the world up in this is or further brought the world out. It was great. It really was, man.
And something else, Craig, you kind of hit on it, but the family dynamic, Bianca, she hasn't totally lost her hearing, but she's kind of take a step back from music, and she's a producer in this type of that role. Yeah, and I got to shout out to Mila Davis Kent, who plays Amara. I don't know where they found her, but I know she's a child actress, but she had perfect like you totally believe the father daughter relationship in that. It's so
you believe the family dynamic from all
the family dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
What I enjoyed the father daughter part of Bianca wanted her to have nothing to do with fighting.
Yes.
And he comes down there and he's like, Duke told me what you were doing, and she was like, I've seen all your fights, just signing to him, and he's like, okay, you want me to show you something? And that's very similar here. Like, I was like, don't do that, don't. And I'm like, hey, come on, I got you. Come on. Because that's what a father-daughter dynamic is, dude. It's just want nothing but for them to be able to enjoy everything.
It's your guys' secret that that you two have a bond and share to the highest level.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not necessarily something that like even in the movie that like he wants her to get hurt on, but it's more just, this is my world. This is what I know. This is what I did and what I do. Why not share that with her? She's interested in it. So, I mean,
and I do feel like there's a little bit of a seed planted if there ever wants to be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which Michael B. Jordan said there will be a Creed 4 at some point. So I don't know if that'll be the daughter and Michael B. Jordan takes a step back or he trains her, but
Well, I mean, he didn't say he was retiring after he won the match. So I mean, it could be just okay. Well, I guess I'm still out of retirement now.
I will say. No, go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
I mean, at the end of the movie, they squashed their differences.
Yeah.
They can become tag team world champions.
I mean, I can kind of imagine like coming out and seeing like an old friend of yours that you helped, that you protected, that you went to jail protecting, coming out and watching all of his fights, watching that, being like, dude, this should have been me. Like,
Yeah.
he should have been my junior. He should have been my sparring partner, not me watching him from the inside of a cell or from the rec room or whatever,
And I will say, I don't know if this was by design or not, but I thought the screenplay was actually really, really brilliant in that there was so many nods and references to the old films. Like when they're I don't know about you guys. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is the beach scene where Adonis confronts Damien after the fight. And he calls him Baby Creed. I was like, oh, that's such a cool reference to the first film. Yeah. And then when he's doing the training, he runs up to the heel on the Hollywood sign. The Hollywood sign's right behind him. I was like, oh, that's another one. Before he took on the name Creed, he was Donnie Hollywood Johnson.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay. So they did really do a good job of like tying up and doing like little things here and there to say you don't really need to see the first two films, but if you did, here are some Easter eggs. So
are you guys surprised that he didn't mention Sylvester Stallone at all?
There was one reference. That's it.
When
he's talking to Felix, we could do this how Apollo got Rocky. That's like the only reference to Rocky in the entire film.
Right, but I'm talking about strictly Sylvester Stallone's character, like being the mentor version, not just the fighter.
I think that was more just like Duke taking over, as well as like, him kind of being that emotional person and not showing that emotion of like, my former trainer died, so got to fight, kind of like how he showed me.
I know, but like, I understand you want to put the past as the past and kind of move forward and make this your own thing. I just feel like it was a little weird that you didn't hear anything about their
what Rocky's doing. Yeah, there's just been a lot of turmoil behind the scenes. I know Stallone didn't like the way the direction was going for this film, and then there's like a huge big thing with him and the original producer Irwin Winkler
owning the rights and everything.
Yeah.
But
to me, like even in that moment, like where Adonis is training for the fight, I was like, could he come back in a cameo role? Just like we're gonna, Duke says we need to remind you of like how to fight, and Rocky steps into frame or something like that.
Right.
I thought, didn't Rocky die?
Yeah.
No.
He didn't die in the second one?
No, he didn't die. I'm glad I rewatched it because at the end of the last movie, after he beats Drago, he says, "It's your time." And then Creed goes his own way, and then Rocky goes to visit his dad, his son and his grandson.
But I thought he was dying from like a cancer or
that was
something
the first
like
movie.
That
was the first movie. He survived.
Okay. Huh. I'd have to. Okay. I haven't rewatched them, so I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Well, and right now, because of Creed 3, they're now both on HBO Max. So there you go. Go HBO Max them up. Something else I always liked in these Creed movies is like the use of like HBO or Showtime, like when right before the Felix bat is like Showtime presents. It's like one of those like boxing
little mini docuseries.
Yeah.
I will say that whole little the hype film or whatever you want to call it for the Anderson and Felix fight, that was really well done. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, that was as good as some of the real like UFC or boxing hype videos that they do. That promo cut, I've got to say that was really well done.
Yeah, and then like, there's like so much. Like, I'm glad this movie. The crazy thing in this movie is like barely 2 hours. Like it's like an hour and 57 minutes, but it flies by. Like
it does.
I was like you said, Craig. Like we start the final fight, and like next thing you know, it's already over.
Because literally, like I was able to watch a clock, and I'm just like, dang, okay, it's already an hour pat, huh? Kind of thing. Like it seems like 25 minutes has went by in this movie. Are you serious?
And the movie, I'm not going to say it could be longer, but this definitely didn't need to be like 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think what they were able to do tell the story, have some good fights, have an emotional attachment and dramatic tension between the two was really well displayed throughout the film.
The tension was extremely well done.
Yeah.
The fights were well choreographed, well shot for that matter. I mean, there's not, like I said, there's really not much I can really pick at this film. Just, kind of some small things on Jonathan Major's character, just story wise. Not that he did anything bad. I think from what he was told and given, I think he did amazing. He was very well believable. It was believable that he is, strictly an asshole. Like, he's here to mess somebody up. He's not here to play. He wants his shot. He wants his due, and he'll get it however he can. But with doing that and then going into the Creed fight, and then you barely do anything similar, I guess maybe he was like, okay, I did that to get where I want to be. I'm here, take it from me if you think you can, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I get that, but it's like, okay, I feel like in the Felix fight, if he had done that second blow when the ref got onto him, I think that would have been the first blow when the ref got onto him, truthfully, and the second would have been out. Like, no, you're not gonna mess somebody up for life on my watch. You're done.
Yeah, I mean,
like the rules, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there are some implausibility things about the movie, like you said, Ed, about some of the fights. Just like, well, I mean, they would have called him out on that. He probably would have been disqualified automatically after the second blow. But I mean, it does its job. You don't question it, and that's, as a viewer, I think all of us can appreciate that. So,
no, 100%.
If you start picking at the seams of it right in the middle of the movie, then you have a problem, basically.
Wow, I've got problems. Okay.
The Battle of Los Angeles, obviously the final fight. I agree with you, Craig. It's so well done. When
in Dodger Stadium too, that was a cool setup right there.
And then like you said, it kind of grays out. You don't really know what's going on, and it's just like a block out the fear. It's just both of them, and I really like how when Damien punches Adonis into one of the rings, it turns into like a jail cell, like the outside of a jail cell. I was like, oh, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And I mean, with that whole fight right there was so much emotion, so much gravitas for that matter, that it wasn't even funny. And tell me that didn't remind you of kind of like the time chamber from Dragon Ball? That
how it just gets all quiet and dark.
Well, that and the kind of clouds in a way. Nobody else is there. The clouds, they're just sparring and training basically almost. And then, they're sitting across from each other in the corners, and all they see is their younger self.
Yeah, which I thought that was a pretty powerful visual.
And it's kind of like, okay, so they've done something similar to that. It's kind of crazy to know, or to kind of think about, like, what has happened between these two in those 2 or so years in that group home, that like these boys just took off with that.
Yeah, that's true. Did you guys like that they reconciled at the end, or do you think that they should have just kind of left it as more of like if there was a Creed 4 that, he could come back?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed that portion of what, because everybody has their viewpoints of what happens in a situation. Michael B. Jordan thought it was his fault, and he thought that Damien was upset at him, which he kind of was, but at the same time, Damien was upset at Michael B. Jordan and had his perspective of the incidents. And I think it's nice to be able to, it talks about sharing your emotions, and there's such a big thing with mental health and mental awareness, and I think this movie kind of brings that to light, where you can be the top boxer in all, in the organization, you can be the top boxer, but you still have to be able to talk about your feelings. You still have to be able to go out and mentally express yourself, because if you don't, you're just going to get bottled up and be angry, or be depressed, and I think
Yeah.
it does a good job of portraying on screen that you can do that and come to a conclusion where you thought there might not be a conclusion. And I
Yeah.
think it's a layer to what Michael B. Jordan was telling on screen about mental awareness, and I think it was great.
Yeah. And something else we haven't talked about yet was Marianne's death, the mother. I figured when they brought her back in the movie and she said that she had a stroke and she's
Yeah.
very fragile. I was like, oh, okay, so they're gonna kill her off in this movie. And I mean, damn it, Michael B. Jordan making me feel emotions. That scene where like he's consoling his mother and it's revealed that she thinks that she's talking to Apollo is
Apollo,
just
yeah,
That was good.
That was incredible.
yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
Because it does happen to people sometimes like that. I mean, I've been in the room with stuff happening like that. So,
And
yeah,
It's very powerful. Yeah,
and you know, I thought it was a good ending. It was just Adonis, Bianca, and Amara just in the boxing ring, and the mother's finally like, "All right, go spar with your dad if that's what you want to do."
yeah,
You know, it's kind of like accepting you are your father's daughter, and I mean, I can hold you back all you want, but that's something that you want to do.
yeah. I mean, she kind of even talks about that during the movie, where she's like, I want to be able to go out and do this, and the fact that I can't eats me up. And
Yeah.
I think she kind of realizes, like, it could be a phase, but if she wants to go do it, then so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. Favorite scene, guys. I think there's a lot of good things in this movie, but is there one that is kind of like, yeah, that's what makes the movie so great? Craig, we'll start with you.
I liked when they kind of showed up when Damien showed up at Adonis's house, and they kind of went through, and they're in the room with the pool table, and he's like, pour up, and I think he's like looking at a cigar after dinner, and he has a Hennessy, and at that moment, you kind of understand. I mean, you already know that they're going to fight in the movie, but I think at that moment you kind of get where he's coming from. I think the movie does a good job of hiding why Damien and Creed fight, even though you saw it in the previews. But that scene right there where they're just kind of talking back and forth, and he's like explaining to him what he wants. He's like, I waited 18 years. I have a time limit. I can't wait anymore. You got to get this through. He's like, you just think that he's like, I want to be able to do it since I wasn't able to, not knowing that he had something behind everything. But that's a good scene. And then I like the scene with Duke where he's like, you hear what he says? He says, listen to me, not I love you, not he's like, listen to Duke. Yeah. That was a good scene with Felix and Duke and that.
I'm gonna say the beach scene where it's the final. It's kind of the glass is starting to break in that confrontation, and when he calls him Baby Creed, is just like, you know what, get your stuff, get out, you're done, and he gives him a black eye. It's just like that's like the first blow of like everything that's about to happen.
He's like, I don't need you anymore, bro. He's got the belts, he's got the media, he's got the everything
he wants.
Yeah.
And everything between Adonis and Amara, I thought was just beautifully well written, beautifully shot, beautifully acted. Like you said, Craig, that scene at the beginning where he has the little dinosaur outfit and he's just doing tea time with his daughter. It's just like, that's such a father-daughter moment, but it's so well done.
Yeah.
What about you, Ed?
Man, the alone in the Dodgers Stadium thing during the final fight.
Yeah.
That is the one scene that keeps kind of popping out at me, for that matter. It's a powerful scene. It's got a lot of gravitation towards it. It's got a lot of emotion in it. It's got a ton of just.
It says a lot without really saying anything.
It's
really
the best
does.
shot part of the movie for sure.
Yeah, because it's got the feeling, but it's got the roughness. It's got them, understanding. Because you go through it with like Creed protecting himself, not really being afraid of him, but being cautious and knowing what he's capable of.
Mhm.
To both of them just wailing at each other and not caring. Like, I got you. Okay, there it is. Clear.
Yeah.
Oh, take it. Go. To Jonathan Majors, or Damien kind of getting hit and protecting himself, especially with that, that boxing stance, kind of like that. Then it comes out of it, opens that boxing stance up, and it's just that final blow.
Yeah.
That whole and I was frustrated with that 8-round jump as well, but just due to how well that shot was, I guess I'll give it its pass.
I like how at that moment when it goes to it's just them in the ring and there's literally nobody else in the crowd or in the stadium.
Yeah.
They're the only two in that moment that know exactly why they're in the ring.
Yeah.
Fighting each other. And that is something that he probably had that in his mind when he was doing that. Not many people will catch it, but they're the only two that know why they're in the ring. They're the only two that know why they're fighting.
Yes.
And it shows it shows them as the only two in that stadium. And I think that is amazing vision and amazing just kind of directing at that point in time.
At that, like, in my head, like with a boxing match for that matter, essentially you are the only one, because your corner can be like, oh, duck, left, jab, uppercut, look at his ribs, watch that right. They can be calling out any and everything. Like, but it's kind of the same thing with even, playing quarterback or something like that. You are the one out there doing it. You are the one taking that physical abuse. You're the one having to make those choices in split second times. So at that moment, and on top of that, sometimes as a boxer, your body makes that choice for you. Whether you're ready to go down or not, or whether you're ready to lay that, knockout punch on the other guy, it doesn't matter. Your body is like, yep, nope, that was the blow. We're going down.
It kind of does that whenever Major or Damien hits him in the stomach, and he goes down for the count up to 9. I think.
9. Yeah.
9. He got up and was like, "I'm good."
It's like he wants to stand, but you just can't.
I agree with you, Craig. I mean, I kind of think that it is a little bit of a time jump between rounds 3 and 11, but I'm glad they didn't do the boxing cliche of like, all right, we're round 2, round 5, round 6. It's just you're so focused, like you said, Ed, on the rivalry between these two characters and why they're actually fighting. That it just you don't need it,
Yeah.
And it just
they didn't do the Rocky thing.
And I mean, it's his way of depicting how fast probably time flies when you're in the ring.
Oh, I'm
or,
sure.
Or you're in that situation where, you start a fight and you're like, man, is boxing 12 or 15 rounds?
I think it can depend, actually.
Depends on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's even like with UFC.
I mean, it's like in anything, you're in a basketball game or football game and you're playing and you're just focused on what's going on. And next thing you know, it's the end of the first quarter. Next thing you know, it's halftime. Next thing you know, even when you're watching the Super Bowl, you're just like, man, it's halftime already. Man, the game's over. It flies. And you can only imagine what those people are feeling just being in that moment, having to think about every second. Even though you're thinking about every second, it's flying by faster than it normally should.
I mean, that's even just a regular day at work, for that matter.
Yeah, that's true.
You go to your first break and your lunch, and then your second break, and then by the time you know it, second or third or whatever shift, or you're about to close up, and it's like, oh, I didn't get these two. Crap, I got to do it tomorrow. Kind of thing. So I mean, it's crazy stuff. Like
it's time jumps. Yeah.
So
I think all three of us can agree this is expertly well done. For this, I mean, like all of us said, for this to be Michael B. Jordan's first film, he definitely took his time with it. He knew exactly, like you said, he probably visualized a lot of what he wanted. He storyboard. I remember I saw an interview with him on Jimmy Kimmel, and he asked him, what are some things that, as a young director, that you got to learn, or did you get any advice? He said, yeah, I got some from Bradley Cooper, Jon Favreau, Ryan Coogler, even Stallone. He said the main thing is just always storyboard, which is always like drawing out the different scenes that you want. Old school way of filming. He said like that final fight is pretty much drawing by drawing how exactly I wanted it to go. So, we're at the end, guys. We're at the one of the favorite parts of the show. Star rating, man. I'm gonna give this a 10, man. I really thought going in that this was going to be as good as the first two, or I thought it'd be good but not as good. But you could really make an exception. It's probably better than 2, and it might be up there with the first Creed. I'm gonna be honest. Probably after a couple more viewings, it might be that way for me. So as of right now, I'm giving it a 10, man. What about you, Ed?
Yeah. Right now, 9, man. It is very, very good. It's not easy to beat. I think you're right. 2 was great, but I think this does better than 2.
I think there's more substance behind this one.
Yeah.
2 is telling a story for what it is.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan he thought this out very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
He definitely was planned. This was a definite planned that I think gone and executed very well. I think it was just a plan that executed very, very well. But yeah, 9, man. 9.
What about you, Craig?
I'm gonna give it a 9 as well. Again, just opening, kind of thinking about it. Just like we're talking about in the movie, you're starting and it's over. So it's kind of hard to sit there and think back in just the initial watch, because there's so much to kind of take in. Where I might feel like, this is the reason why I'm knocking it down, but it's only because I didn't really catch it. So maybe on a second or third watch, it could be a perfect 10 for me. I do just the flashbacks, like I said, it's more so a nitpick on my end, where I just wished it would have been condensed into how many times there was. But overall, I think the music fits. Every time he plays a song, it fits the feeling of the movie and where it's at. Jonathan Majors comes in and completely demolishes his role. Michael B. Jordan does it. Everyone in this movie, the main characters, the absolute main characters, I feel like they're very well positioned, which is another notch in the belt for Michael B. Jordan in his directorial debut.
I mean, your 5 main characters: Jonathan Majors, Michael B. Jordan, Tessa Thompson, the daughter, and Fasil Rashad, the mother. I think those are like the stand. I mean, obviously those are the 5 main performances, but they really drove home the movie for what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
definite standouts.
And again, I like Creed 1 and 2 are boxing movies with a story. I feel like this is a story with boxing.
Yes.
And it's completely different feel from what Creed 1 and 2 are. And I feel like he takes it to another level as far as it's not just a movie about he adds another layer to what you feel when you watch it.
Because I think
that's very seasoned for somebody who was doing it for the first time.
I will probably catch shit for this, but I will compare this to Rocky. Like OG Rocky, and because it was telling a story about Rocky for that matter, and
almost a different version of him, almost a different version of Rocky, where Rocky's the underdog, but this one is so far obsessed with trying to claim that victory or that the glory of being a champ that he's willing to do anything.
Yeah, because Rocky was just like, okay, sure, I'll fight him. That sounds cool. To where this guy's like, this is my destiny, so I'm making it happen.
Damien the Conqueror.
Oh,
that would be funny if that was his nickname.
That would have been,
that would have been a cool spin on things.
Yeah.
2 more things, and we'll get out of here. I'm really glad that each one of these films have a different thesis of what their characters are. The first one is saying you're more than just a name, being taken on the mantle of Creed. 2 is pretty much trying to rewrite the past for all the sense of the father, and this one is actually taken on the past of what something that you yourself may have caused, and how do you rewrite that, or how do you own up to it, or whatever. And then at the very end, I don't know if you guys caught it during when he goes down, there was a slight hint of "Gonna Fly" in through in the orchestra. Just a slight hint. I don't know if you caught it.
I'm Gonna Fly.
Yeah, the Rocky theme.
Oh, okay.
It's just like no. It's just
R. Kelly Space Jam.
That's what I
mean. I thought that's what you were talking about. I was like, I don't.
No,
I was just like, I don't remember that. No.
You know, the classic Rocky theme is just
the original.
You can catch it just briefly. They didn't use it all the way, but just tiny bit.
I might have to. Okay.
Well, guys, Creed 3 is in the can. I think it was a great experience. Do we really need a Creed 4? Probably not. But if Michael B. Jordan thinks that there's more story to tell, then I think all of us are on the bandwagon. So
yeah, if you can develop a story and make it believable to fit in that universe and be able to tell it as deeply as you did as Creed 3, go for it. Go for it.
Speaking of deeply, next week, Scream 6. It's gotten a lot of interesting. From what I heard from early reviews, that this is the goriest out of all the Scream movies by far. It's definitely Jenna Ortega and the Sam, I think the character name in the movie, the sisters are they. I'm glad that they're moving out of a community set, a suburban setting, and going to like a big city. That'll be interesting to see how they take that on. Ed, are you excited about Scream 6, or you think like, okay, here we go again?
I'll have to rewatch Scream 5, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Craig?
So, we'll see.
I don't even think I watched Scream 5. I missed it last year for the podcast, and I didn't go back. So I'll have to rewatch it or watch it initially, just so I can catch up to what Scream 6 is. All
right. Yeah, I'm going in slightly open-minded. It's funny that they finally called the card that I thought for when we did Scream 4 that Kirby's not dead. Hayden Panettiere is in this film. So I'm glad they kind of said, you know what, let's just correct a mistake or, something that fans pointed out. So let's bring her back. It'll be interesting to see. This is the first Scream movie without Neve Campbell, how that's going to work.
I feel like they're going to use Jenna Ortega and her popularity quite a bit.
Yeah, she's a big star right now, so we're going to ride the coattails off her, basically. Other than that, guys, like I said, Scream 6 next week. Any final thoughts on Creed 3 before we go on to next week?
Michael B. Jordan's going to get a shot at many other directorial jobs.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. Totally agree.
Even though this is kind of sitting around the 78%.
I think it's at 100. Yeah, it's grossed about $100 million. So,
yeah, 100 million, 7.4 out of 10, 11,000 ratings on IMDb. I haven't really seen anything else. I mean, it's you watch some of these other movies that he's been in. You can catch hints of Ryan Coogler's taste. You can catch hints of some of Marvel. You can catch hints of anime, like we said. He's taken the best of a lot of these things that he's done or been in or interested in and really put it in Creed 3. And I can't wait to see kind of what he does moving forward.
Did y'all see the what was that spot? It was a UFC spot with Jake Gyllenhaal. Dude, I was just like, what?
I thought he was really fighting.
Roadhouse.
Same.
I looked on the card. I was like, this motherfucker is not really fighting. And I was like,
okay, you're in good shape. Don't get me wrong. But
Hey,
do
I
you
mean,
really,
people make that crossover. They want to get a little taste of it, and I thought he was going that route. More power to him, but
yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. But it was just like, wait, what? Because I'm like, nah. And then yeah, it led to, like you said, Roadhouse. So
yeah.
I'm kind of like looking at that, and I'm just like, that might be something on the watch list later on this year or whenever it comes out. So yeah.
I'll have to send you guys this when we're done. There's an article on here called Creed 3 anime references to Dragon Ball, Akira, and Naruto, and more explained. And
Yeah,
they
send it
do
my
like
way.
shot by shot. They do shot by shot comparisons. It's like, oh yeah, that is definitely from
I
Dragon
heard
Ball
the
or Naruto or
shorts were
whatever.
even kind of Akira. I don't know, but
Um,
okay.
Also, next week, top 5 returns. We've been kind of taking a break from top 5. Top 5 returns, Scream 6. Ed, have anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Nah, man, this is Ed saying I'll see you on the silver screen.
Greg, what about you?
Go
see Creed 3.
Yeah, I mean, go see it. If you are expecting just another Rocky movie, I think you're in for a little bit.
Oh man,
you're in for a
Clearly.
little bit more. The ghost of Rocky passed. He doesn't like the way. It's fine. But yeah, just it's more than a boxing movie. So if you're just expecting another boxing movie, it's going to be more than that. You'll enjoy it. So yeah, and then well, I'll see you next week.
All right, guys. We'll be back next week for Scream 6. Everyone have a safe weekend. Stay safe. Do stuff that we wouldn't do. We'll be back next week with a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Bye, guys.